Alright folks, buckle up because today we're diving headfirst into the glorious vodka-soaked, bear-infested wonderland that is Russia. We're talking about a country where yes means no, ice cream is a winter delicacy, and smiling at strangers is basically a federal offense. So grab your ushankas, pour yourself a shot of something that'll make your eyes water, because it's probably vodka, and get ready for some hilarious facts about Russia that'll leave you wondering if this country is real or just a fever dream brought on by too much borscht. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the bear in the square vodka. This iconic spirit is more than just a drink. It's a symbol, a tradition, and a way of life deeply embedded in Russian culture. In Russia, vodka isn't just a drink, it's a way of life, a social lubricant, and probably the main reason why their winters seem a tad bit warmer. It's the glue that holds social gatherings together, the elixir that fuels conversations, and the warmth that cuts through the biting cold of a Russian winter. They consume enough vodka annually to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and that's just the stuff they admit to drinking. Imagine the unreported quantities, the homemade brews, and the secret stashes that never make it to the official statistics. Forget about happy hour. In Russia, it's always vodka o'clock somewhere. Morning, noon, or night. There's always an occasion, a reason, or an excuse to raise a glass and toast to life, love, and everything in between. So if you ever find yourself wandering the streets of Moscow at 3 a.m. and stumble upon a group of babushkas having a vodka-fueled sing-along, don't be shy, join in. These spontaneous gatherings are a testament to the communal spirit and the joy that vodka brings to everyday life. Just remember, when they offer you a shot, you drink it. Refusing a shot of vodka is almost unheard of and could be seen as a slight against their hospitality. It's the law, or maybe it's just polite. Either way, it's a gesture of goodwill and camaraderie that you don't want to miss out on. Look, the point is, you drink the vodka. Embrace the tradition, savor the moment, and let the spirit of Russia flow through you one shot at a time. Let's talk about communication, or more specifically, how to avoid a diplomatic incident when trying to order a beer in St. Petersburg. Imagine you're in a cozy bar, the atmosphere is lively, and you're ready to enjoy a night out. But then, the moment comes when you need to communicate with the bartender or your new Russian friends. You see, in Russia, nodding your head means no, and shaking your head means yes. This can be incredibly confusing for someone who is used to the opposite. Just think about how many times you nod or shake your head in a day without even thinking about it. It's like the universe decided to play a cruel joke on foreigners. And honestly, who can blame them? The confusion can lead to some pretty hilarious situations. Imagine trying to agree with someone and accidentally telling them no or vice versa. It's a recipe for comedic misunderstandings. So, when you're trying to tell your Russian friend that you don't want another shot of vodka, as if such a thing were possible, remember to shake your head vigorously. This simple gesture can save you from a lot of trouble and ensure that your message is understood correctly. Otherwise, you might find yourself waking up in a snowdrift with a splitting headache and a vague recollection of singing karaoke with a bear. And trust me, that's not a situation you want to find yourself in. So next time you're in Russia, pay close attention to those head movements. It could make all the difference in your night out. Speaking of bears, in Russia, bears aren't just cuddly creatures you see in cartoons or on those questionable honeymoon with a grisly reality shows. No, in Russia, bears are your neighbors. They casually stroll down the street, rummage through your trash, and occasionally break into your car to steal your picnic basket. It's like living in a Disney movie, except the bears don't sing, and they're probably judging your choice of snacks. So, if you're planning a trip to Russia, remember to pack your bear spray, your sense of humor, and maybe a spare picnic basket, just in case. Chapter 4. Cars double as airplanes in winter. Now let's talk about Russian winters. They are not just cold, they are a whole different level of freezing. Imagine a place so cold that your eyelashes freeze together when you blink, making it feel like nature's way of giving you an instant eye mask. And your breath? It turns into tiny ice sculptures that you can use to build a miniature Kremlin, or at least a tiny ice fortress. That's a typical Tuesday in Russia, the kind of cold that makes you question your life choices every time you step outside. And driving? Forget about it. It's like trying to navigate through a frozen obstacle course. The roads turn into ice rinks, slick and treacherous, where even the most experienced drivers find themselves at the mercy of the elements. Your car becomes less of a mode of transportation and more of a suggestion box for fate, sliding and skidding unpredictably. But hey, at least you'll get a good workout trying to steer your way out of a snowdrift. It's like an impromptu gym session, courtesy of Mother Nature. Just try not to hit any bears while you're at it. Yes, bears. Because in Russia, even the wildlife gets in on the winter action, casually crossing icy roads as if they own the place. And let's not forget the snowplows and shovels, the unsung heroes of winter, tirelessly working to keep the roads somewhat navigable. After all that, there's nothing quite like retreating to a cozy home, warming up by the fire and enjoying a hot drink, knowing you've survived another day in the Russian winter wonderland. Chapter 5. Public holidays? No, it's work-free January. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom in the land of vodka and bears. Russians know how to party. And when it comes to New Year's Eve, they don't mess around. Forget about a one-night celebration. In Russia, New Year's is a 2-week extravaganza that makes Mardi Gras look like a quiet night in. From December 31st to January 10th, the entire country basically shuts down, and everyone is too busy drinking, eating, and singing karaoke to even think about work. It's like a national hangover. And honestly, who are we to judge? Chapter 6. The Tsars had better outfits than you. Now, let's take a trip back in time to the days of the Russian Tsars, when fashion was serious business and beards were considered a national treasure. These guys knew how to dress to impress, with their fur-lined coats, jewel-encrusted crowns, and beards that could make a lumberjack weep with envy. Seriously, their beards were so magnificent that they probably had their own personal groomers. So, the next time you're feeling fancy, just remember, you'll never be as stylish as a Russian Tsar. You know what pairs perfectly with sub-zero temperatures and a face-numbing wind chill? Ice cream, of course. That's right. In Russia, ice cream isn't just a summer treat, it's a year-round staple. Because, well, why wait for the weather to warm up when you can just embrace the cold and enjoy a delicious scoop of frozen goodness? It's the perfect way to cool down after a long day of ice skating, bear wrestling, or just trying to survive the Siberian winter. Chapter 8. The Russian bath will make you cry. Now, let's talk about the banya, the Russian sauna that's less about relaxation and more about enduring extreme temperatures and questionable hygiene practices. Imagine being baked in a wooden oven, then whipped with birch branches by a man named Vladimir, and finally plunging into a freezing cold lake. Sounds like fun, right? Well, it's certainly an experience, and one that will leave you feeling cleansed, purified, and maybe a little bit traumatized. Chapter 9. It's not just cold, it's Siberia cold. Speaking of extreme experiences, let's talk about Siberia, the vast frozen wasteland that makes Alaska look like a tropical paradise. In Siberia, minus 50 degrees Celsius is just another Tuesday, and the air hurts your face. But hey, at least you'll never have to worry about mosquitoes. Just make sure you pack your long johns, your vodka flask, and a spare pair of lungs. Because breathing in Siberia is like inhaling tiny ice shards. Chapter 10. Don't smile at strangers. And finally, let's talk about the art of Russian etiquette, or more specifically, why you should never, ever smile at strangers. In Russia, smiling is a sign of intimacy, reserved for close friends and family. So if you go around grinning at everyone you meet, you'll probably be met with suspicion, confusion, or maybe even a swift punch to the gut. Just keep your head down, your mouth shut, and your vodka close at hand, and you'll be fine. Picture this. You're invited to a Russian friend's home for the first time. You're excited, you're nervous, you're holding a gift basket full of questionable delicacies you found at the back of your pantry. But before you can even utter a hesitant privet, you're hit with an unexpected social cue. You must remove your shoes. Yes, friends, in Russia, entering someone's home with your outside shoes on is akin to showing up to a funeral in a banana costume. It's just not done. Instead, you'll be offered a pair of tapochki, those gloriously comfy Russian slippers that have probably seen more feet than a podiatrist's office. Don't even think about refusing. Embrace the slipper. Become one with the slipper. Your host's floor and their sense of decorum will thank you for it. Now let's talk about babies, specifically Russian babies. those tiny bundles of joy who are apparently impervious to the elements. You see, in many parts of the world, leaving a baby unattended outside, especially in the birthdays, a time for celebration, cake, and bruises. In Russia, birthday well-wishes come with a side of pain. Forget gentle hugs and heartfelt greetings. Here, your friends show their love with a good old-fashioned punch in the arm. For every year you've graced this earth, you get a thump. It's a tradition as baffling as it is painful, but one that speaks to the tough love ingrained in Russian culture. So, if you ever find yourself at a Russian birthday party, be prepared to toughen up or take cover. Move over, dill pickles, there's a new pickle in town. In Russia, it's all about the gherkin, those small, crunchy cucumbers that are practically worshipped as a national treasure. From breakfast to dinner and every snack in between, gherkins are a staple of the Russian diet. They're pickled, fermented, and devoured with gusto, adding a tangy crunch to every meal. They're found on every table, sold on every street corner, and consumed with an enthusiasm that borders on the fanatical. So if you're ever feeling peckish in Russia, ditch the chips and grab yourself a jar of gherkins. Siberia, a land of vast frozen wastelands, unforgiving winters, and surprisingly generous employers. That's right, folks. In this land of permafrost, braving the elements comes with a unique perk cold weather bonuses. Companies operating in Siberia understand the challenges their employees face: the biting wind, the bone-chilling temperatures, the constant threat of frostbite. It's enough to make anyone want to stay huddled under a blanket. So, to compensate for their workers' fortitude, they offer cold weather bonuses, a financial pat on the back for simply surviving the Siberian winter. Next time you're complaining about the cold, spare a thought for the hardy souls of Siberia, who not only survive the freeze, but get rewarded for it. Forget coffee breaks. In Russia, it's all about the tea time. And not just any tea time, but a constant flowing stream of tea that permeates every aspect of daily life. From the moment they wake up to the time their heads hit the pillow, Russians are rarely seen without a steaming cup of tea in hand. It's more than just a drink. It's a ritual, a social lubricant, a way of life. Imagine sitting down with friends and family, not for a quick coffee catch-up, but for an hours-long tea ceremony, complete with endless cups of strong black tea, sweet treats, and lively conversation. It's a time for bonding, for sharing stories, for simply enjoying the company of loved ones. So, if you ever find yourself in Russia, put down that coffee cup and embrace the tea culture. Water, the elixir of life, the essential element for human survival. But in Russia, it faces stiff competition from a more potent beverage, vodka. That's right, in some parts of this vast nation, vodka is cheaper than bottled water. Vodka is so deeply ingrained in Russian culture that it's practically considered a national treasure. It's consumed at celebrations, used as a cure-all for everything from a common cold to a broken heart, and yes, even enjoyed as a casual drink. So, if you're ever feeling parched in Russia, don't be surprised to find vodka cheaper and more readily available than bottled water. But be warned, my friends, while vodka may be cheap and plentiful, it's always best enjoyed in moderation. Unless, of course, you're feeling brave and have a strong stomach. Public restrooms, those necessary but often dreaded spaces, take on a whole new level of adventure in Russia. Forget about pristine porcelain thrones. Here, you're faced with the infamous squat and hover toilets. Imagine stepping into a bathroom stall and being greeted not by a familiar toilet bowl, but by a hole in the ground. But fear not, my friends, for the squat and hover is a skill that can be mastered with practice and strong thigh muscles. It's all about finding your balance, embracing the squat, and well, hovering. So if you ever find yourself facing the squat and hover challenge in Russia, take a deep breath, embrace the adventure, and remember, you're not alone. Weddings, a time for love, laughter, and demanding kisses from the happy couple. That's right, in Russia, wedding guests take matters into their own hands, or rather, their vocal cords, with the enthusiastic chant of Gorko. The newly married couple, glowing with happiness, takes center stage as guests erupt in a chorus of Gorko, Gorko, Gorko. The chant, meaning bitter, is a playful demand for the couple to kiss, their sweetness the only antidote to the metaphorical bitterness of the moment. It's a tradition that's both endearing and slightly intimidating, as the couple is subjected to a barrage of gorko until their lips are practically glued together. But hey, who are they to deny their guests a good show of affection? So, if you ever find yourself at a Russian wedding, be prepared to join in the chanting and witness the power of gorko firsthand. It's a tradition that's sure to leave you with a smile on your face and a newfound appreciation for the passionate nature of Russian celebrations. Forget about politicians and oligarchs. The true power in Russia lies with the babushkas, those formidable grandmothers who rule their domains with an iron fist and a heart of gold. In Russia, they're the keepers of wisdom, the enforcers of order, and the undisputed queens of their neighborhoods. From guarding apartment building entrances to dispensing sage advice, whether you asked for it or not, babushkas command respect wherever they go. Their stern glares can melt glaciers, and their words carry the weight of centuries of tradition. They're always willing to lend a helping hand, share their wisdom, and of course, ply you with enough food to feed a small army. So, if you ever find yourself in need of guidance, support, or a good talking to, seek out a babushka. The Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, home to priceless works of art, stunning architecture, and an army of cats. That's right, folks. This world-renowned museum has a secret weapon against rodents' feline guardians. Imagine strolling through the hallowed halls of the Hermitage, admiring masterpieces by Michelangelo and Rembrandt, when suddenly a furry blur darts past your feet. Don't be alarmed. It's just one of the Hermitage's resident cats, hard at work protecting the art from unwanted visitors of the rodent variety. These feline employees are more than just pest control. They're beloved members of the museum staff, complete with their own press secretary and social media accounts. They're living proof that even in the world of high art, there's always room for a little cat-titude. So, if you ever find yourself in St. Petersburg, be sure to pay a visit to the Hermitage and its furry guardians. New Year's Eve, a time for celebration, reflection, and doing it all over again 2 weeks later. That's right, in Russia, the party doesn't stop after the ball drops on December 31st. They keep the festivities going with Old New Year's on January 14th. Old New Year's is a time to celebrate the new year according to the old Julian calendar, a tradition that harks back to Russia's rich history. It's a chance for those who felt they didn't celebrate hard enough the first time around to redeem themselves, and for everyone else to simply extend the holiday cheer. So, if you're ever feeling like your New Year's celebrations were a bit lackluster, book a flight to Russia and experience the magic of Old New Year's. So there you have it, my friends. 10 crazy facts about Russia that offer a glimpse into the heart and soul of this extraordinary nation. From birthday punches to vodka cheaper than water, Russia never fails to surprise and amaze. If you enjoyed this journey into the bizarre and wonderful world of Russian customs, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more incredible adventures around the globe. Until next time, stay curious, my friends. And remember, the world is full of surprises, especially when you're exploring the wild side of Russia.